a bunch of Raiders shit in the background.
Yeah,
If you had a bunch of,
I also work from home here, so all the Raiders gear in the bag. In my I'm gonna be on a meeting. My next Zoom meeting is gonna have Raiders gear in the background. My boss is gonna be like, "What's going on? It's not professional. Sorry, got to take it down."
All right, guys. All right, guys. Wait a tip. Right. Oh, here we go. I got my intro all messed up because BD got me laughing. But it's Tape Don't Lie, guys. Welcome back. Tape Don't Lie. Favorite Raiders channel. Favorite Raiders breakdowns. Favorite Raiders everything. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also, follow us on Twitter at Team Archon NFL for me, at BD Williams 18 for BD. Then, pandasups.com. Go there as well. TDL. Yeah, that's how we get some money. There you go. Go to Pandasups, dog. Get some protein. You know what I'm saying? Use that code TDL, 35% off. You help out. Also, you ask about the members. It's a member channel. Hit that join button. You go to the main channel page. There's a join button on there. You can hit those memberships. Has basically breakdowns, a lot of picks. I got 2 Tyree Wilsons on there in depth. Also, there's Tyree Wilson free on the page too. Pete Skoronski in depth, but we didn't draft him, but we didn't draft a single lineman. But who else did we draft? I got in depth. I got somebody else to be drafted in depth there. I don't know. Nobody. Just a lot of Tyree Wilson.
Yeah. Tyree Wilson so far, but guys, don't worry. They did us a huge favor. I'm just gonna read through the schools real quick that the Raiders drafted from: Notre Dame, Alabama, Cincinnati, even Maryland, Purdue, Georgia, Florida, Arizona State. We are going to have tons of film. This ain't no Gruden Mayock draft where they're drafting some random guy from some random school because he's a grinder or something like that. We will have stupid amounts of film on these guys. I'm just telling the people, because Marcus already knows. I'm just telling the people who are watching this, we're going to have a lot of film to watch. I have multiple seasons of Byron Young that I'm watching already. We got, Chris Smith. I have every season. I'll probably have every single snap that Chris Smith has ever played. I'll be able to watch. They definitely did us some favors, right? Like that. So Marcus is saying we got Tyree Wilson on the channel. Don't worry. We're going to have all these guys on the channel for sure. They definitely, it seems like they like big school guys,
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd definitely be easy, because you're able to find Brian Young. It was a little harder to find some Trey Tucker, but I found some. I did some digging. I dived in there, and of course we got all 2021 in there, but most of his targets came.
Right.
He had a lot of targets this year. Actually, that was kind of interesting. So I went and watched the Central Florida game. So he there's some tape on him too, but yeah, we get some good film, especially the Mayor. Man, I can't wait to go deeper dive into him and get really deep into his game. So. All right, BD. I guess we can go over every pick again here. I guess because we could do just start from the top and then go to the bottom. I don't know. We want to start on.
We'll start with Tyree Wilson just in case people didn't tune in for our other initial thoughts on him. I'll just speak for myself. Obviously, a lot of people watch Tyree Wilson. He was one of the blue chippers in this draft. After you get past a couple of the quarterbacks, the Texas back, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, who's the next most talented, highly sought after guy in this draft is going to be Tyree Wilson. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of people are gonna go ahead and say, yeah, he deserves to be spoken about, like Will Anderson and like Jalen Carter and these other big time huge, these guys are going to hit the ground running. They're going to be good pros. The confidence that you feel. Tyree Wilson, he's in that category this year in this draft, right? In terms of the way that people feel about him coming out. And so where the Raiders were, I don't know if they were trying to trade down. Because they did, most teams take the entire time because they're making sure that they can't, get anything done at the last second or anything like that. So I don't know if they were, but they stood pat. They picked basically the best guy available, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Carter, there's some question marks. You can't bring a guy who just got in trouble, when Henry Ruggs just had a similar kind of situation happen. So I think that was just honestly like just the serendipity of that. But anyways, Tyree Wilson, extremely high talent, right? And then when we cut on the film of him, where is he? He's lining up everywhere, right? And it's easy. Luckily, it's easy to see him because he's a giant. But he's lining up like 5 technique, 9 technique. He's lining up sometimes interior. So we see him making being able to make plays and have production from multiple spots, while on top of that being from a physical standpoint, like yes, like he 86-inch wingspan. Are you kidding me? Over 7-foot wingspan, bro. So there's a lot of things that you can't teach here. So I mean, I I don't want to say like this is a slam dunk, like
Yeah.
he's a double digit sack guy for the rest of the year. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. And I know that's what the expectation is anytime an edge player gets picked in the top 10. Like obviously, like people are going to be disappointed if he's not a Pro Bowler. And I certainly hope so. Like that'd be awesome to have Max Crosby and then have this guy Tyree Wilson like turn into like a similar type of player to Max Crosby. Like that would be incredible, right, for the Raiders. But at the same time, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. He's got a lot of talent. He can play in the NFL. I think what we should be looking more at isn't like how good of a player he is. It's more of like how long he's going to be playing in the NFL. So,
Yeah.
from that standpoint, like, yeah, this guy's going to be like, he could get like someone who has, I'm talking a long time. Sorry, Marcus. Someone who has, this guy has like the size and the athleticism and everything like that, right? He could get hurt and come back, and he should, even if he loses a step, he's more athletic than everyone else still, right? So,
Yeah.
He's going to play a long time. That's what we're looking at here. We're not saying he's going to be an incredible player, but he's going to play a long time. He's going to be in the NFL time, right?
Yeah, I think he has really high. He's a high potential player. I think there's really a lot of potential for him to grow, right? And I think he can still get better as as a pass rusher, like his get off. I mean, there's a lot of things he can get better at, but there's a lot of things to like on tape. He's definitely for sure to me a top 10 player. And when you get that type of player at 7, I mean there's no reaches or anything like that. You feel good about it, right? I mean that's even if you upset that they passed on Jalen Carter, which I understand. I think Jalen Carter's a stud and probably the best defense player in this draft, right? But they had their thoughts on whatever happened with him, so they didn't like it. It is what it is, but you still got a really good player in my opinion.
There's a few teams that didn't like it.
Yeah. And I think he complements Max Crosby very well. They're both high motor players. They're going to both collapse that pocket at times. There's still going to be some tackles out there. They're not going to be able to handle Tyree Wilson. Like that's what I know day one, that he can go in there and just the average left tackle. Let's say, you're playing him later in the season. There's hurt guys. He's going to just run over somebody. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be guys just, some of the technicians like the Rashawn Slaters and stuff like that. Yeah. Is he going to have a problem with some of those guys? Yeah, but like the average tackle, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be a fun day for
and here's the thing: you get there on Sunday, okay? One of those Sundays, Tyree Wilson is going to be going up against a backup. That's the way it goes in the NFL, right? So there's a potential. Like, yes, I agree. He's going to have a big game, probably his rookie year. Is he going to have big games every single game? Let's see. Let's see how, because there's a lot of things, and I'm going to talk about it like at length. But the scheme that he was in is just not what he's going to be doing in the NFL. So there's a lot of question marks here, like in terms of like you're saying, the get off and the pass rush moves, and for me, like he has never really like sat there and truly played like NFL style edge the entire game. He might have been asked to do that like sparingly. But the style that he was playing is just not going to be what he's going to be doing in the NFL at all. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, if they had this guy just peeling his ears back and rushing the quarterback, he'd have like 19 sacks. He would have gone nuts. But he's like backing up and he's like staying there and he's like two gap and he's doing all these other things, like not rushing the passer. So I think that there's a lot of potential here with Tyree Wilson for sure. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
I'm
Yeah, me too.
cautiously optimistic. Let's just, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to keep on talking about Tyree Wilson here. In terms of guys coming out in like the past, because, you know, you're only going to be drafted relative to like the talent pool that's coming out this year, right? So like a seventh overall pick isn't necessarily as good as a seventh overall pick in previous years, or it might be better than previous years, right? So like, let's just like talk about Tyree Wilson in comparison to other edge rushers that have come out in the past, right? Because I feel like just like last year, let's talk about Trayvon Walker and Hutchinson, right? Trayvon Walker, he was the first edge taken last year, and I think that there's probably a lot of similarities here between Tyree Wilson and Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
Freak athletes. They played in a strange scheme where they weren't rushing very often, right? You know, so I don't know if maybe we can expect maybe a similar rookie year as Trayvon Walker had, from Tyree Wilson. It's definitely similar athletic profiles, I mean.
Yeah, I
Wilson's
think
maybe
Trayvon
even
Walker
better.
didn't have a good rookie year. Didn't have a bad rookie year. I think he, you have the PFF. They're not big fans of him, and he didn't win like maybe you wanted him to, and he's trying to figure out his pass rush plan and all that good stuff. But there's, like I said, there's times when there's somebody that just couldn't block him at all, right? And I think that just kind of happened.
Yeah,
Even we saw that
exactly.
when he went up against the Raiders both times. When they played the Raiders both times, he gave the Raiders problems. So, I mean, my watches of Trayvon Walker, I guess, are different than other people's. Maybe they got more consistent watch of him, but that's what I'm saying. There's gonna be times the guy just can't block Tyree Wilson against the run. There's gonna be times where he's gonna be
like Trayvon Walker, it was like when he won, it was just like that brute strength, So you have that to fall back on. Like most people don't have that. They got to fall back on technique. They got to fall back on a pass rush move. Tyree Wilson, he's going to be able to fall back, like you're saying, on the incredible athleticism, the incredible athletic profile. I completely agree with you. He's going to have a couple of games this year where he does something crazy. It's going to be like, wow, that's why he went seventh overall, for sure. Yeah. But I don't know if but I just want to pump the brakes. I just want to keep this, make sure people understand this. There's a lot to work on with Tyree Wilson, right? So like what you're expecting, like push that back a couple years. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to be playing for like 15 years. Okay. Like screw his first year. Screw his first year. All right. Yeah, it's going to be his second, and then on, that's going to be nuts, hopefully for the young man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if he puts it together, which I think he will, I think he has a work ethic for it, obviously. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, the Raiders obviously, when they're drafting these guys, they did their homework for what they really want, So that's why they drafted some of these guys that they already knew, and then we'll talk about more in the back end how they went Senior Bowl crazy a little bit here. So definitely Senior Bowl and bowl game crazy a little bit. So and they had the Patrick Graham was the coach of the American team, so a lot of the draft picks came from the American team. So, yeah.
That's how it works.
So they did the studying on these guys, and they think these guys are whatever we want to call it. We call it the new Raiders. The new Raiders, right? New Raiders. And to be honest, this might put a little fire under Chandler Jones. Somebody's coming to take your job, Chandler. He's coming to take your job.
No. Chandler Jones is not. Chandler Jones is like, thank God. Please. Give me some blow out here, I mean, I'm not worried about that at all. It's perfect because look at Philadelphia. Okay, look at their pass rush. You know what I'm saying? Like Ndamukong Suh was coming in rotation. He was like their worst defensive lineman. Ndamukong Suh. Okay, like you're happy when you're in that situation. When you're a veteran, you have done everything. You've had so much production. Like you're having a fantastic career. I'm not going to say Chandler Jones is a Hall of Famer, maybe, but like incredible career. You can't take anything away from Chandler Jones at this point. How happy would he be to have another guy that can come in and, you know what I'm saying, where he can like condense his snaps into more quality. I think this helps Chandler Jones. Like we'll see a better version of Chandler Jones who doesn't have to be in there in all these situations. So I'm excited for that. Just for that fact. You want a rotation. You want Tyree Wilson giving Chandler Jones, first of all, a blow, but then also there might be times where Max Crosby needs, a rest as well. Get Chandler Jones and Tyree Wilson in there, so it just helps to have 3 guys instead of, only 2 guys.
I just know it's gonna be very hard to run the ball on the Raiders outside. It's gonna be very hard. It's not gonna be easy. I know that at least. I know that. Maybe we'll see what happens with these linebackers because it wasn't a priority up at the front of this draft. So we'll see.
I didn't get around to watching the linebacker. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So, but let's go. Michael Mayer. Well, let's talk about Michael Mayer. Round 2.
Michael Mayer.
Pick 35. Michael Mayer. He's a tight end from Notre Dame. You were very high on him, I think. I'm seeing you crack a little grin right here. So you're still feeling good about this pick, obviously. But
I love this
anything else that you want to add that maybe you didn't get to yesterday, or something that you just want to reiterate for the people who are tuning in today?
Yeah, this is probably my favorite pick in the draft. Best value pick in the draft. Maybe out of the whole draft from any draft pick. So that's kind of the why I see people kind of mad at Dave Ziegler here, but man, he got Michael Mayer at 35, right? And there's a chance he tried to trade up in the first round and get him. He talked about after they drafted him last night. So I think there was a lot of people kind of knocking him a little bit. Maybe he's not the most athletic tight end. I know he's still 75 percentile with his RAS. So is he like not Sam Laporte? He's not Zach Kuntz, which I don't. Where does Zach Kuntz go? I don't even know where he got drafted at. But maybe he's not one of those guys, right? When it comes athletically, but. It was a little shocking that the Lions went with Laporta over him because what they're looking for. So to get Mayer there, because Mayer's a good receiver too, man. I think that he's really underrated there. He can run all the routes. He can, I showed some film on Twitter of him making all those routes that he can run. There's a little breakdown I did with him at the end of the tight ends and defensive line that we talked about, all the defensive linemen. I did a little breakdown, a kind of secret breakdown of Michael Mayer because I knew he would be higher on their board than Ziegler saying he was top 15 on our board. So he was a trade back candidate for them too. They might have traded back and took him at 15 if they said somebody come up and try to make a deal with the Raiders when they're at 7. So I think that was just a home run pick, man. I think this just for what they like to do. He's the Y guy. He can block. He can run the juke routes. He can run the seams. He can, they don't have to be, trying to find 2 tight ends to do something. They got 1 tight end. Then we can get less targets, share more targets. Devontae Adams gets more targets. It's somebody that else you could worry about because he can stretch the field too. I think it's a good ability that he has. And like I said, you can give him the ball in space. You can make guys miss. He has that type of athleticism. So I really like this pick a lot, man. I really do. I think it's the best tight end in college football. I think he's the best tight end in the draft. Steal. Steal. It's a home. If there's a home run pick, it's a home run. That's what I'm saying. Like these first 2 picks, we can talk about the other ones. We can go to these 3rd round picks and we can break them down. But I think these first 2 picks are pretty damn good. And we can, if these 2 guys hit, right? If you just go look 3 years from now, and Tyree Wilson with Max Crosby hit, that's terrific, right? If Michael Mayer becomes one of the best tight ends in the league, you're gonna really like this draft with a foundation. I think that's what I liked about it. I mean, you get those 2 guys. Those are 2. I mean, I guess the NFL didn't feel Michael Mayer's a blue chip type of a prospect, but the Raiders did, and in my opinion, I think he is too. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm super excited to hear you say that. Yesterday you talked about maybe comparing his game a little bit to Mark Andrews. Is that something that did you rewatch him at all yesterday, or you had already watched him? So
I watched like 5 of his games already. So I mean,
okay.
I went pretty in depth with him already.
Some people are saying here in the comments like he's like a diet George Kittle. I think I saw someone say that he's after the catch. He's after the catch guy.
Yeah, man. After the catch guy, you could. As I'm saying, you could do a little play action, throwing the ball in the flat. He's going to get 10. He can get 10 yards for you.
Okay.
He's going to help Jimmy Garoppolo a lot. He is. You can help Jimmy G a lot. He gives him a big target inside, over the middle. They love to run the over route with the seam route off of play action with the tight ends. They love to run with Gronk. He's a money for that play action turnaround. Hit him in that, hit him right with anticipation on that throw, or hit him up the seam if he decides to read it correctly. He'll be the type of guy who could pick that stuff up. Yeah, I'm really excited about that one, man. I am. No joke. That was a great pick. Really was
Was he
hoping the
injured?
Raiders could trade back. Who?
Michael Mayer at all? What,
No, I don't remember him getting injured. I mean, he had 800 yards as a tight end this year, like 9 touchdowns or something like that. He's a stud, bro. Like it's just like 800 yards at tight end in college.
800 yards 2 years in a row. Gosh, that's psycho.
He's a stud, bro. Like it's really that is a steal. You'll see like PFF's even that elite grade. Like that is a bro. I really like that pick. It doesn't matter. Josh McDaniels can get fired. They can get fired. We'll have some other offensive guy come in here and figure it out with Michael Mayer. That's
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Guys.
That's what I like about
those 800 yards 2 years in a row for a tight end. Trey Tucker never even got 800 yards in a season so far. Michael Mayer, like 800 yards for a tight end is psycho. That's nuts. Like draftable tight ends, you'll look up their stats. They're getting like 340 yards and like 2 touchdowns or something like that, and they're going in like the 4th round. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, he sets a bunch of records. You know what I'm saying? Stat wise, right? So I mean that's always a good thing. To fans love that when a guy comes to the Raiders and he set a bunch of records in college. That they eat that up. But I just think. I'm just gonna double down on this. Notre Dame, tight end, sets records. Like, yeah, this is a slam dunk for me.
Slam dunk, man. I couldn't believe he fell that far. So, and I don't think the Raiders could have either. So, one of the best picks in the entire draft. I think a lot of people would say that is one of the best picks in the entire draft. So,
hey, D-Mag. I hate to tell you this, but I was not alive for Dave Casper. So if you can get us some all 22, we might do a little, special for the old.
I'm not gonna say somebody's a Hall of Famer. 2 years it's a high level production after 2 years, and I'd be like, yes. Let's put the pads on first. Let's put the pads on first. He's more Mark Andrews for now. He's a Mark Andrews.
That's why people keep on saying this because Dave.
I mean the same number too, bro. I think the same number.
And we're on the same number, yeah.
We're approximately 87 on, man. It's gonna look nice.
So
I kind of like it.
Mark Davis was definitely because Mark Davis, Mark Davis knows like all of like the fan stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the hardcore fans. Like he'll be talking about like. Ted Hendricks and like the throwback from like when the Raiders were like always winning, or always competing.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine that would be some good nostalgia for for Mark Davis with the Dave Casper connection there to Notre Dame. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with Michael Mayer before we move on to?
We can move on.
Now these ones that we're moving on to, this is more controversial. This is going to require a lot more analysis. This is going to require us leaving this conversation, watching more film, coming back, talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about Byron Young. Picked 70, right? Byron Young, pick 70. I hadn't watched this guy before. I know that you said you were underwhelmed by this.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
So I went and I watched 5 games last night and this morning of his.
Okay.
And so I'll just say a couple things. There is definitely something to work with. There's something to work with here. Okay. Like it's not like the guy doesn't have any talent or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
He's definitely like, this is something that we can work with. I'm cutting the film on. He's lining up at literally, and this is not an exaggeration, every single technique that you can line up on the defensive line. 0, 1, 2I, 3, 4I, 5, 9. He lines up everywhere. Okay. And so, I mean, we talked about that with Tyree Wilson. We're seeing Tyree Wilson move around. Is he playing linebacker? Is he playing end? Is he playing defensive tackle? There's like versatility there. He didn't need to have versatility to get picked by the Raiders, but that's something that we noticed, right? We're also noticing that, not the same, but another type of versatility from Byron Young. I think Tyree Wilson is a tweener, defensive line, defensive tackle, defensive end, closer to defensive end, whereas Byron Young is a tweener, but he's closer to defensive tackle than defensive. You see what I'm saying? But he's definitely a guy who played end a lot for Bama. He played a lot of end for Bama, and he also played inside for them. And so I think you have to take some of the things that, when a player gets drafted from Alabama, like a rotational player gets drafted from Alabama, this is tough, especially for like draftniks, like first coming out, right? You want to see a drafted player, like a draftable player. You want to see them like play, right? Yeah. Like you don't want to cut the film on for a guy who you're scouting to go to the NFL and he's getting subbed out in college, right? When you're watching lower level competition teams, if I'm watching like a Pac-12 team and I see a guy that I'm watching get subbed out, I might turn off the film. I'm like, okay, he's not getting drafted then. He's getting subbed out for some random player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at Alabama, it's different. It's different. It's okay to be part of a rotation at Alabama. They're all going to the pros. You're coming out of the game for a guy who's going to the NFL as well, right? So it's acceptable. It's more acceptable to see a guy not necessarily be a starter every game. I mean, he was definitely a huge contributor. In the 5 games that I watched, he was in all of these games, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's definitely games where he played more, and there's games where he played less. And it's just because they got 10 guys on the defensive line who are trying to get to the NFL in Alabama. They all need to get in, to get reps. And it just makes sense, like everyone's staying fresh, right?
Yeah.
So I think some of the production questions that we have, you have to just look at it from the lens of he's playing at Alabama. This is the production that he had. If he's on, another team outside of Georgia in the SEC, or if he's in the ACC, he's playing way more. He's going to get way more stats, right?
Yeah.
But he's part of a really good defensive line, and he was one of their better defensive linemen for sure. And just off the strength of the versatility that he had and some of the pass rush juice that he shows. That being said, there's definitely plenty of holes that I could poke in this guy's game, and I will when I do the breakdown.
Yeah.
But I think getting a guy in the 3rd round who has some upside and has some pass rush potential when you're struggling in your interior defensive line, there's no rush there. I understand it. I understand it, and I actually don't think that this is a bad pick. I would have to watch like every single defensive lineman and then be like, okay, well, there was like way better defensive linemen. I doubt there was like that many guys who were, better than this guy still left on the board at this point, pick 70. But, I mean, in 3 years when a 5th round defensive line, a couple of 5th round defensive linemen are making a whole bunch of sacks or something like that, we might be able to look back on this and say, hey, that was a reach. But honestly, like, he went to Alabama. He has some dominant performances. He's got 11-inch hands and 34-inch arms. Like, you can't teach that. That's extremely rare. And he's got some fantastic lateral agility at the very least. Not super explosive necessarily, but he does some things going sideways that make, that he just can be pretty slippery as far as, in terms of rushing. So there's some things there for sure. I'm not down on Byron Young. I'm not as down as you are on it. I think he's better than Matthew Butler for sure coming out last year. And at least with Neil Farrell's problems were pad level. And once Neil Farrell gets that pad levels, okay, what is he going to be? A run stopper on first down?
Yeah.
Okay. Byron Young, he's going to be a pass rusher. He is not, like, they are not putting Byron Young in like a goal line situation or something like that. You're not going to see Byron Young come running out off the sideline, okay? His job is going to be to rush the passer year 1. He's going to probably only do it from like 3 technique, maybe because of that position versatility he has. But his job is going to be small. It's going to be just rush the passer when he gets in. And he's already showed that he can do some of that. It's like, some of the other things, I don't like him against the run, honestly. And I'll do a breakdown of that. But like I wouldn't feel confident. Like if I saw him in, it was 3rd down and 1, and I see Byron Young come in, I'm be like, okay, they're running for a first down on this one. You know what I'm saying? I guess what I'm trying to say is there's an avenue for him to actually like show off some of the things that he does good at in like a small bite-sized portions as a rookie. Whereas Neil Farrell, like, he whatever he could do, this is not necessarily like the most high paying skill or something like that, just stopping the run. If Neil Farrell gets it figured out, we could have a really good run stopping defensive tackle. But if Byron Young figures it out, then we have a guy who maybe gets like 4 or 5 sacks a year as an interior rusher. So which is what's more valuable, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I think there's possibility there for Byron Young.
Yeah, I guess with Byron Young, the explosiveness, I really didn't see the explosiveness for him, and just felt like you could have had him later on in the draft, in my opinion. I guess it's just the value of that pick at 70. I feel like that's just way too high for him, in my opinion. And even you talk about compared to other defensive tackles, I would just say with how you could find defensive tackles that that could kind of do what he does, because even when you talk about his pass rush in a little bit, I think that the upside of that isn't that high that you pick it at 70. That's
it's
why
it's not like crazy upside. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think at 70 it's a reach. Like if they took him at 135, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a good pick. Brian Young at DT 135, but it's just Brian Young at 70. High third round. That's what it is for me. I guess that's a value pick for me more than a film pick. The film goes into that a little bit, but I just think the value of defensive tackle. If you're gonna take a defensive tackle like that, like I said, even when I saw him, he wasn't the best run defense in the world either. So, yeah, if that was a 135, it probably wouldn't bother me as much. But that's why I bought it.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. If your boy from Northwestern wasn't on the board, if he got picked, you'd be fine.
What, 70?
Yeah, no, I'm saying because your boy from Northwestern, Ade Adebaware,
he was still available. 110. Yeah,
he was available at this point,
to the
right?
Colts. Bradley.
Yeah, so if he wasn't available, I feel like you'd be a little bit more okay with this one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just maybe that's part of it a little bit. Maybe I don't know.
Let's see a couple other guys that were still available. Jacqueline Roy from LSU. Obviously the Northwestern guy.
Mm-hmm.
A couple names. Cameron Young from Mississippi State. I did not watch that guy though, so I don't know.
I like Cameron Young. I liked Cameron Young better than him. Also like Colby Wooden, who's basically the same kind of thing. I liked Colby Wooden a little bit better. But
Colby Wooden, did he get drafted? It didn't look like he got drafted.
Yeah, he got drafted.
Is he a defensive end?
Seahawks, I think. Seahawks took him.
Okay.
Yeah, or the Seahawks took Derek Hall. Maybe they took both of them.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I understand. I don't think that the upside is that great. He has a strange body type. Like when I'm watching him out there, like who did you say, Barmore? He's a fat end. That's what it is. He's a fat defensive end, just like you said. But yeah, it's a strange body type that the guy has. He doesn't have the most athletic looking physique, and I agree, he's not super explosive kind of guy. But almost 35-inch arms, 11-inch hands. He can really land those hands, and he has some good lateral agility. So there are things there that maybe he can turn into a guy. Is he going to turn into an Aaron Donald? No, obviously not.
Yeah.
But a third-round pick who comes in as a pass rusher, if he can be a guy that gets 3 or 4 sacks, that's a good spending of a third-round pick. So, he doesn't have to go crazy, but I mean, yeah, we'll see. And I agree, it's not like crazy upside. So,
yeah.
All right, so let's move on because we probably talked way too long about that one anyway.
Very young. It was a controversial pick. Controversy.
It was a little controversial. It was
a little controversial pick.
So the next one up here.
So is this one. This next one.
Pick 100 is Trey Tucker, wide receiver, Cincinnati.
Wow. This one was crazy.
5'9" officially. Yes, yeah. 5'9" official. I think. I mean, you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I talk about Trey Tucker. I went and watched some film on him. I think he had his junior year. He was kind of used sparingly. So I mean, you go watch the junior tape. You're really not going to get much from him. He only had the game that we showed on the live reaction yesterday, and that's the only game he got targets really. So you really have to watch this year.
Yeah,
There's
you have
really
to
not
watch
a
this
lot of
here.
film on him, right?
Yeah.
But the Central Florida game he had 10 catches, really showed off his ability as a slot receiver. I think he's really good at finding the zones. I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Great hands too, really good hands, great catches in traffic. He takes a lot of hits. He has a couple of catches versus South Florida where he caught that ball, was really physical. It's funny, you do the typical plays bigger than his size, but yeah, he does. I think he plays a lot bigger than his size. But I just kind of believe like when you take a player like this, you kind of want more of like a dynamic route runner type of slot receiver. So yeah, sure. If nobody's touching Trey Tucker, and I actually think he has a pretty good release. It's just after the release and at the top of the route, I think everything is just too much. There's too many steps, right? You really don't see that high level athleticism from him in changing directions. Just for how he's built, especially for you want him to be a slot receiver. Like there's this rep against Central Florida where he's going up against the safety, and that safety just locks him up. And I'm kind of thinking, if you're a slot receiver, kind of supposed to be shifty type of guy. Yeah, I didn't see too much yak from him either. Like be able to make guys miss an open field type of thing. Like he has some speed, yeah, he has some deep speed there, but you didn't see a lot of yak as you see from a top.
Not elusive. Not elusive.
Yeah. That's what I don't like. But as a slot receiver, I mean, there is some upside there, right? Because I really do believe seeing zones, great at seeing zones, understanding mesh when to stop in between mesh, seeing both linebackers, so stop in between right perfectly, make himself available to the quarterback. Does a really great job of that. You see that against some of the plays against Central Florida that we showed yesterday. He's able to get between those zones and find it and make himself available to the quarterback. And he has really great hands catcher. And we saw a body catch yesterday, but when I watched against Central Florida, he has a great catch over the middle that he made. Got popped, and he actually like flew like 4 yards and then got up and just signaled the first down. Didn't even lose that football. All hands catch. So there is some things to like about him, but I still think that you could have got him in like the 5th round, in my opinion. This is another value pick thing. Like I feel like they traded up and used all their 5th round picks early for some of these guys. Like I feel like Trey Tucker is definitely somebody they could use with one of those 3 for 5th round picks. And I would have felt better about it. I'd be like, oh, yeah, Trey Tucker, 5th round pick. But it's just you took him at 100. And I'm like, man. But it's just not a lot of great route running that you see from him, right? And that's what kind of bothers me a little bit. Like if you get him on a free release on a seam or over route, hell yeah, you can get some a great play from him. And I think he's going to make a great catch in traffic. He's going to find that hole. He's going to be a smart player. He was on the American team in the Senior Bowl. So Patrick Graham got to coach him. So that was part of the draft pick too. They even talked about that they got to coach him and watch him. So with Brian Young too. He was on the national team, but Patrick Graham was there. They got that.
You got
close,
to talk to him at least. Yeah.
Talk to him. Got that close look at them. Got to watch them practice. Got that up close look at some of these players. So I think that's what they got with Trey Tucker, and they probably just fell in love with him. He must be just the most football guy ever. Just football. I love football type of player, and this is a character pick. Special teams gunner. He's a gunner in special teams, so kick returner. A lot of things. Great character. Can play in the slot. Smart type of player. He's a Josh McDaniels guy. It's really what you just. This is the most Josh McDaniels pick at a little bit more of Josh McDaniels than Michael Mayer, in my opinion. So
yeah. Well, okay, yes. So when we watched this guy and I dug into it yesterday, I'm not mad at this pick at all. Like, top 100 player, the guy won the state title in Ohio for the 100-meter dash and the long jump in high school. So we're talking about a fantastic athlete, right? We're talking about an incredible athlete. And it's like almost like that anti Hunter Renfro. You know what I'm saying? Like Hunter Renfro is beating you with skill. He's beating you with his anticipating and his understanding of the game and and all that. Whereas this guy's just going to beat you with speed and explosiveness. So and hopefully, obviously people saw this and they go, "Oh, Hunter Renfro's out of here." These guys win in completely different ways. It wouldn't be bad to have them both on the field, or on
Yeah,
the team. I don't know if they're gonna, if there's room in the offense to both have them on the field at the same time necessarily, but I don't know if this necessarily means, because, like you're saying, he wins a lot differently than Renfro, right? Like he does. He's not this guy who's going to be killing you with with the routes and getting you stacked and killing you at the top of the route or anything like that. And that's what Hunter Renfro is. Like that's what
yeah,
he does, right? Like that's how he makes his living. So I don't know if this necessarily means Hunter Renfro is gone, because this guy can't do any of the things that Hunter Renfro does, and Hunter Renfro can't do the things that he does. So just because they're both short slots, I don't know. Like that's too simple.
yeah. It's just I wish he was more of a route runner for you to take him at the 100. You just want a better slot receiver, right? And I think there's some other guys you could have found, like even the dude from Purdue. I think, yeah, he went outside in at Purdue, but he's still, he's 5'10", 175. That's the type of player you could have took there. Also, to be honest, let's keep it real. I think they wanted Tank Dell. I think they're going to take Tank Dell at 70 because the Texans just for some reason just hopped right over them, right to 69, and they took Tank Dell. And I think that's why I don't like. Why I'm not a huge fan of the pick, because it felt like a little bit of a panic pick. Like we needed a slot receiver that could take could run the seam, right? Because Houston just really came out of nowhere and took Tank Dell over them. Because I think they were about to take, which is like the better version of Trey Tucker. There's a more higher level Trey Tucker type of thing. So it was like they had a couple slot receivers they want to take on their board, and they ended up taking one. So. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you are right. To be honest, there are some really good things about him that I like. I just don't like the value of it. That's really I'm being a value nerd here, but more than a film nerd. But it is because he is it's like it's not bad film, but it's fifth round film to me. So it's just at 100 it's that's more what it's about. If it was they stayed at 141 and they took Trey Tucker BD, I'd be like, you know what, that's a great pick right there. I like the upside there, but it's just it's just a little bit of a reach. It's a reach. It's a little Mr. Fantastic. That's all. That's all it is.
all right. We gonna see. We gonna see.
We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. All
Um,
right.
so next one, we're gonna go to round 4.
Yeah,
here.
round 4. I really like this pick, though. I really do. I don't know if you watched any film of him before the show, but I really like this one. Bennett from Maryland. I think that
Jacorian Bennett. Yes.
Jacorian Bennett is really good film against Ohio State. I really like that film. So what did you think, BD?
Yeah, so I watched this guy literally the day that he ran an incredibly fast 40 at the combine. So I he's been on my radar. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, when I did the cornerback show, I talked about his teammate. Banks was one of my honorable mentions. For my top corners. Bennett is a guy that I just didn't see very many plays. It didn't seem like he was a guy that I was seeing just make a big impact out there, and I was definitely seeing him being able to run pretty effortlessly, like the Ohio State game. He's, you see him running with Jackson Smith and Jigba and, Marvin Harrison's son, and it's effortless. Like you don't see him out there like, oh, he got beat off the line and he's trailing and everything like that. So he definitely is going to be someone who he can athletically handle this, right? And again, this is another guy extremely fast, all state track and field, like this seems like maybe a bit of a theme here for the for the corner and the wide receiver that we're taking. That being said, about Jacorian Bennett, I thought that his transitions at times definitely is something that he's going to need to clean up if he wants to, make any kind of impact or get on the field at all. He's going to have to work on his footwork. He's going to have to get that cleaned up. And then the other thing from I did rewatch him yesterday as well after they picked him. But I've been spending the day watching the Alabama defensive lineman. And who else was I watching? Oh yeah, and then the Georgia safety. But as far as this guy Bennett goes, just didn't see him make a bunch of plays for me to like come away and say like, oh, I feel really good about this. And mostly because, again, the transitions, and also like I don't know how he is at the catch point. He didn't get targeted enough for me to be like, this is a guy who disrupts passes, or he consistently rakes, finds a way to disrupt the catch point. I don't know. He could be a guy that gets dunked on, consistently for all we know. I just didn't see him get the ball thrown very much, his way. So I'm just gonna hopefully I can find more Maryland tape so I can like really find where his targets were or how he got beat. So we'll see. I'll be going through his, and I'll definitely have a breakdown ready for him. But some people are saying he's going to move to the slot, and I'm not convinced of that. I'm not sure that he's a nickel. He did line up in the slot at Maryland. He did line up in the slot. Oh, and one more thing before I let you talk. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of all the guys in that Maryland secondary, when they needed to get into a dime package, when they needed to get into something exotic, it was Jacorian Bennett who's lining up places.
Yeah.
Strange places, right? He's like lining up at like linebacker in their blitz packages. You know what I'm saying? Not Deontay Banks. Deontay Banks was the first round corner, right? But they got this guy doing all the, weird stuff, all the unique exotic stuff. So it's a good indication when you see something like that, you see a random player lining up in a random spot, and that's part of the game plan.
Yeah.
He's probably pretty smart. The coaches probably like him because they were willing to, like, okay, we're going to put Bennett here because we can trust him with these extra responsibilities, right? So that's a good indication that he's a hard worker, he's coachable, like all those things. Just seeing that is a good indication that we got a good football character here. So I wanted to add that in, but go ahead.
Yeah, and also he's an athletic freak, which I think you take you take it. We're taking fourth round players. I mean, he's a freak. So at the end of the day, it's like, sure, he's a fourth round guy. We could poke holes in his film all day, but he has NFL athleticism. So
yes.
And you can see it on tape. You can see trust his speed, and you see a lot of those things. And there's some things he can work on. I didn't think he was very good against press, which I heard some people say he's a press coverage guy. I didn't like it. I thought his reps were better off coverage.
Pedal.
His reps were a lot better there, and and press coverage. I think he had a lot of issues there, just with strength and getting his hands on people and stuff like that. So, does he need some work? For sure. Is he an athletic freak? Yes, and that's why I like the pick. In fourth round, we take some athletic freaks, top level athleticism. I mean, that's what you bet on. Because top level athletes, so that's what the NFL has. I mean, that's why you take Max Crosby. Max Crosby's raw too, man, coming out, but he's an athletic freak. Yeah, and guess what?
100%. You got It doesn't take you very long. Like if you do the whole draft thing, okay, it takes maybe about 3 or 4 years before you realize the biggest, strongest, fastest guys are the best players. It's not that complicated, guys. So I mean, athleticism is important. Like I said. Saw the combine numbers and I was like, okay, I got to watch this guy immediately. Okay. Immediately. I was like, what was this time that he ran? What? So yes.
Yeah.
This is how
the vertical everything.
Right. This is how you get into the NFL, baby. And then, but we'll see. We'll see, how much, but again, it's a good indication that this is going to be a guy. Maybe he gets in this year. Hopefully not. Next year though, down the line, fantastic athlete. He'll definitely play on special teams early, and maybe he can be a guy that develops, into something, or at least be a part of a group of DBs that gets out there. I'm not going to just based off of the film that I watched. I'm not going to get super excited that he's going to be like a starter early in his career. I don't want to go that far. But like you're saying, you run that fast, you jump that high. Well, let's just figure it out from there. Hell yeah.
Let's clean you up. Clean you up a little bit after that, man. We'll figure it out. Because, the coach, now it's on us. You're a free athlete. You got some coverage skills, right?
Yeah.
Here you go, coach. Make it happen. That's the GM's job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't go wrong. You drafted the fastest guy in the country. Who ran faster at the combine than him? Did anyone run fast? He ran the fastest time, right? So Cool. I like to hear that. All right, so I'm gonna let you go on this one, just so you know. The thumbnail for this episode is Aiden O'Connell looking like one of the Super Troopers uh, at the combine, giving his that mustache, giving that interview. So I got that as the thumbnail. But I'm gonna let you talk. Aiden O'Connell, round 5, pick 170. I'm sorry, pick round 4, pick 135. 135. Aiden O'Connell, talk to us about that.
I wasn't really a fan of this one. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It was a lot of people are try to tell me to watch Aiden O'Connell, and every time I wouldn't watch Aiden O'Connell, I just saw a lot of interceptions, and that was the first thing I saw, and he can't really move. And yeah, sure, you could say that he's a pretty good, accurate quarterback. He doesn't have a big arm or anything like that. I just don't see any upside with him. Like, there's really no developmental upside to where you could say he's going to be like a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like that's my thing, especially when you make bad decisions in college. He threw 24 interceptions the past 2 years. 13 this year, 11 the year before. He did have a better junior year than he did as a senior year, so I will give him that. But
okay, yeah.
But to me, I think he had a better receiver. People like David Bell, but he had Charlie Strong, who he didn't get drafted. I think him and David Bell got drafted the same place, but Strong was beating Joey Porter Jr. There's just a better receiver that he had there, and then he had the tight end get drafted. I just didn't see it on film, like the Illinois film. I made the joke before for the show, BD, that he got all those guys drafted because he was just throwing them interceptions, just making terrible decisions. The first play against Wisconsin, he throws a pick six. I mean, his first throw against Wisconsin it's just nothing that I really liked. Especially, I thought there's some better quarterbacks that they could have taken, but they really like him. I guess they're really high on him. They're comparing him to Tom Brady. They said he throws the ball like Tom Brady. That's what Ian Rappaport said. I think that's nuts. But hey, everybody,
If
McDaniels guys, I don't know.
Truly said that. If Josh McDaniels truly said that, he needs to hand in his resignation right now. And you said you don't see him becoming a starter.
No, and I don't. Because to me, if you have an average arm and you're a bad decision maker, like if you're a bad decision maker, you better have a big ass arm so you can make up for the decision. Maybe hopefully you could sneak it in that window. Because there's just some throws. Like there's one against Illinois, he has like a smash route, and he just he's late, and then he just tosses it up in there anyways, and Witherspoon gets a free interception, help him be a top 5 pick. Against the other one, he just same kind of concept. He's late. He rolls out a little bit to his right, and he just throws it up for Javarius Martin to go in the second round. So it was, it was just making these guys in Illinois recorders make all these plays. But and then the Wisconsin ones is because that's the first tape. It's probably what happened to me with Aiden O'Connell. Is the first tape I put on him was Wisconsin,
and the first play is that ruins here for sure. That's gonna be tough.
So everything after that, it had to go up. So that's probably my problem with Aiden. Is that's literally the first throw I saw him make on tape was him throwing a pick six on a hitch that he was late on, and you clearly saw the safety driving on. Clear pick six. Yeah, he does. Yeah. I think Tyree Wilson looks like Brubman for the 5th floor. So,
I was gonna make a joke about Aiden O'Connell not being a starting quarterback in the NFL, but what about a starting quarterback coach eventually, right? But okay, we can. Yeah, I don't have anything to say. I'm not gonna watch, and I'm not gonna watch Aiden O'Connell. So
I was trying. I literally.
Hopefully, he never plays.
I've done it though. It's just. I don't know. It just. There's just no upside to it. Like when you take a quarterback in the draft, this is what I'm talking about. Like we're in the back end of the draft. We need starter or developmental upside. I mean, I think he's gonna have problems with Chase Garbers. He's gonna have a little problem. I mean, he's got to beat Chase first. Listen, he's got to get the 3rd quarterback. So him and Chase are gonna battle for that. So who knows what if he picks up the offense quick enough.
Bro, he throws like Tom Brady. He's gonna beat Chase Garbers. Come on.
I don't know. Tom Brady doesn't throw late, and I don't know.
Who said? Come on, that's a fake quote. That didn't happen. No one said
Ian
that.
Rappaport said that. He said that that's a quote, bro. He said Josh McDaniels said he throws like Tom Brady. I think somebody else said that too. That they think I think he's a great agent. I think that comes from his agent.
Yeah, it must be his agent.
His agent is great. That's a lot of these guys. His buzz comes from them is agents, top notch. He went and found him a good one because I don't get this one at all. And then DTR and all those guys went like right after him. So and they traded up for it. So I guess they felt like somebody else was going to take Aiden O'Connell. I just don't know if that's true or not. I just I don't. Maybe it was, but maybe it was.
Someone take him. Yeah.
Bro, they traded up for him. They really like Aiden O'Connell. They're going to try to develop him. I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Maybe I'm terribly wrong at this, and he's going to be a superstar. I don't know. I just think if you make that bad of decisions in college, that I don't see how it gets better in the NFL. Like all the guys, even Will Levis, right? Even Will Levis makes some bad decisions, but it wasn't bad decisions like this guy makes. But they like him though, obviously.
Clearly they like him. Clearly. O'Connell. Someone's saying O'Connell is pro ready. What kind of offense do they run over there at Purdue?
See, yeah, they run like a pro offense, right? But it doesn't matter if you're late and you make bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like it's consistent on tape that he just makes bad decisions, and I'm like, what the hell? Why are you doing that? And I don't like saying that when I'm watching a guy too much.
Right.
Like, what the hell are you looking at? You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to figure out, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I just don't like that. That's all. I just wouldn't expect Raiders fans to see him develop into like he's like going to become this next starting quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down. Right. I saw like Brett Coleman say that, but then Brett Coleman had an interview with him like, oh, that's an agent.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, you had an interview with him breaking down film. That's the agent saying he could.
Look, if we had an interview on TDL with any NFL player, we would be singing their praises. We'd be like, this guy, future Hall of Famer, guaranteed.
He said he could. I'm like,
of course.
I mean, it's the bad decisions. That's all it is. He makes terrible decisions. So we're basically saying he's going to stop doing that in the NFL. No, he's not.
No, yeah.
He's probably gonna make bad decisions in preseason.
I think we can move on, but you summed it up great. There's no upside here. He's not a great athlete. He doesn't have a great arm. So, and I agree with you. At this point in the draft, start picking guys who are big and fast and strong, and maybe So, yeah, I mean, we did see that with some of these other players. They got some measurables and things like that. You got Bennett with the 4.3 flat, whatever it is. So. So they're doing that with some of the players, but yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of upside here with O'Connell. We're about to be at an hour here, so let's try to wrap this up here. If we can move on to the last few picks here. So I did watch Christopher Smith just now. Obviously, I've watched Georgia film. From this draft cycle or whatever. So decided to focus on Christopher Smith, last few hours here before the show came on. Safety, Georgia, Chris Smith got picked 170 overall here. Okay, so I'm guessing that he showed up to the combine hurt, and everyone knew that he was hurt, and he decided to go ahead and put those times down and everything that he did because his RAS is like a 2 or something like that. Like the athletic profile doesn't look great here, right? On the guy, it looks pretty pedestrian. When I watch him on film, I definitely did not see a fantastic athlete, but I also didn't see like quite as bad as what it was, the RAS is suggesting and everything like that.
Yeah.
If he ran a 4.6 something at the combine, I think a healthy him is maybe a 4.55, and that's as best as it would get. So it's I think we are seeing an average athlete for sure. As far as like the safety position, he's 5'11". He's not a super fast guy, not a super explosive guy. But the things that I have seen so far from Chris Smith that I really like is he's definitely a smart guy. He's definitely a guy that puts himself or puts his body in a good position to negate passes and to just dissuade the quarterback from throwing his direction. I saw all three of his interceptions from this last year, and he had a really, really good interception against Oregon, a pretty good interception against LSU, and then a gimme interception against Kent State. So there's some things there as far as like his ability to cover or put himself in a position to take the pass away. I think is definitely good. And I'm just gonna like talk about it like this so that people can understand. Roderick Teamer was like the Raiders' reserve safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is a fantastic special teams player. He could tackle like great. He's a really good tackler, Roderick Teamer, right? Mm-hmm. You get him in, if he comes in the game and it's first down, right? It's 3rd and 1. You're fine. You're good. You're not worrying about Roderick Teamer, right? Roderick Teamer comes in the game and it's 3rd and 11. That's when you start worrying about Roderick Teamer, right? You're like, oh, like what? Someone's going to posterize Roderick Teamer right now, right? Chris Smith is like the opposite of this. He's going to miss tackles. He's not going to be on special teams. He's not going to be flying down the field, 6'1", runs 4.4s or something like that, gunner or, on kickoff or something like that. That's not him. But on 3rd and 11, if you want to add a safety in or something like that, he's going to be a guy who just does his job and he's in the right place. He's not going to get, beat deep or something like that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is in the past, our reserve safeties have been liabilities. Our reserve safeties are just got box safeties, just special teams players, and you start biting your fingernails when you see them get in the game. I think, Marcus Epps and now this guy, Christopher Smith, Trayvon Merrick, it's just a bunch of cover safeties. Like none of these guys are box safeties. These guys are cover safeties. So that's just kind of the way that the NFL is moving right now. Your reserve safeties, you want them to be able to cover and not just be a box safety. You could just have a linebacker do that. What's the point of having a DB if he's just a box safety? Get a linebacker. You have a DB. They're there to cover the pass. That's what Chris Smith does. Roger Teamer, he has never been successful or even like slightly good at that in the NFL. So I'm thinking that's kind of what this is signaling. The depth players are going to be guys that can actually play on 3rd and longs. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's not a great athlete, so if he doesn't ever play, this guy Chris Smith, if he doesn't ever play, I won't be super surprised. But I think that if he does play, I think he'd be solid out there.
Cool. All right, so let's go to the next guy. I watched a little bit of Mari Burney before we got on tape. I watched this game against Georgia. I thought he actually is pretty good against coverage. He had a good robot technique that he ended up breaking up a pass that I really liked. Definitely somebody who could play in zone. It's just, against the run, like every other linebacker, he basically was kind of like a bigger safety. He actually is a switch from safety, I believe. So you can kind of tell that he's learned how to play linebacker. He's learning how to come up and make plays, make tackles, take on guards and stuff like that. But I think in coverage, you see a lot of, ability to play at the next level. He'd be able to come in and be a matchup linebacker and have that ability to become maybe grow into, his body, get stronger, grow up a little bit, and maybe he can develop into a starting linebacker eventually. But there is some ability there, like he has a high RAS too. Pulling up his RAS, 4.5 40 at 230 pounds, 4.2 shuttle, 7 3 cone, you know what I'm saying? So 10-inch broad jump, so it's pretty good. Vert's a little weaker, but I think there's some upside there. His RAS ended up being 9.19, so.
But he didn't go to the combine, did he? Bernie, this is pro day results.
Pro day.
Yeah.
Results,
yeah. So I mean, couple things that I did not watch Bernie yet, so I will get around to him. So I'm gonna go off of the things that you said 100%. It said that he, first of all, when he came out of college, or when he came into college out of high school, he was a wide receiver recruit. They switched him to DB, and then eventually he moved to linebacker. So this has been like multiple position switches that he's had, and so like this is it. This is what you're talking about. At this stage, you get a guy who's not. Is he a complete football player? Does he have it all put together yet? No, but he's big and he's fast and he's strong relative to the position. Right? This is the kind of pick that you get. Because if Amari Burney never pans out, who cares? And if he does, you got a guy who maybe can cover and he can play some special teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a great pick.
Yeah.
At this stage, you get a special teams player, you get a linebacker who can run. Great. Perfect.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I like that pick too because he's athletic and he can run and he could just play. And this type of player, like, yeah, maybe especially with the linebacker group, he might end up stealing a spot, and making this team. So having a chance to kind of make an impact, especially the preseason. The preseason is going to be big for him, trying to make an impact, trying to make this team. The next pick is, Forks Up, one of my ASU boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we bring in some ASU. I know where they come from. They love ASU players, so it makes sense.
That's true. Good point.
Taking to kill Harry, you know what I mean? That high. So,
Gronk.
Yeah, Gronk's U of A.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
but even Jack Jones, my boy Jack Jones, you know what I'm saying? Over there, was balling over there at ASU. So, and going to the Patriots. So, bring in Nesta. Nesta's pretty athletic. He's 65. He's 65 percentile RAS. Pretty athletic player.
Is this guy? Is he a run stuffer or kind of a pass rush? I haven't seen him. I don't know anything about this guy.
Yeah, he's more of a run stuffer, especially in the Pac-12, especially with the undersized guys. The Pac-12, you don't see those big 340 pounds guys in there. So definitely a run stuffer. Definitely plays inside more than anything else. He had a really good Senior Bowl, I believe. That's why another player that I think he was on the American team as well, for what I believe, that he played in the Senior Bowl. So Patrick Graham got a full-on look at him. And I think it's a good value pick getting him that late because the way he played at the Senior Bowl shows a lot of his upside, how he can play the run and stuff. Because I thought he had a pretty good week there and was able to stand out and make a name for himself. But I think he's a good player too. You'll be able to find some film on him too, against USC and things like that. That I think he kind of can stand out. But definitely more of a 3 technique type of player. He's not really a nose tackle though, but more of a 3 technique, a little bit of pass rush upside, but more of a run stuffer at this point as a player. So.
All right, yeah, cool.
All right,
I will be. We will be watching these guys, right? We will be going through.
What we could do? Probably do shows on the first and second round guys, and then break down, and Dave, whatever.
There's a lot of content. A lot of content is possible.
Yeah, for sure. And undrafted guys too. I'm really not familiar with.
You got a list. You got a list of the undrafteds.
Really not too familiar with really any of these guys. I know people are excited about McClendon, the guard from Chattanooga State, and Drake Thomas. I guess Drake Thomas had a great week at the East-West Shrine Bowl. So linebacker out of NC State.
Yeah, the linebacker.
So he's supposed to be a really good player as well. Yeah, the linebacker, the Jalen Gray, safety from Oregon State. They got offensive lineman Dalton Wagner from Arkansas. And then they got McClendon Curtis from Chattanooga. He had a pretty good week at the Senior Bowl himself. But, most of the time the guys inside the Senior Bowl got their butts kicked. So, but that's probably another guy. He played in the American team with Patrick Graham too. So they're fairly familiar with him as well. And, and Azizi Hearn from UCLA. Number 22. 22 pass breakups. Yeah, breaks over pass. Yeah, a lot of DBs.
22 pass breakups.
Yeah, 22 pass breakups. No. I'm bad. I was just reading the picture. 22, it was his number. He didn't have 22 pass breakups.
Oh, okay. I was like, I should have heard of this guy. 22 pass breakups. Okay, number 22. Man. That makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I was about to say, because really this year, everybody got drafted. Everybody who should have been drafted got drafted this year. It was going to be interesting to see how the undrafted guys go, because not really too many guys that I can think of didn't get drafted. I think Eli Ricks didn't get drafted. I think it was a big one, but Eli Ricks his film wasn't the greatest in the world.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I think that's the biggest undrafted name out there. So I don't know.
Probably not the most talented draft that we've ever seen. So like you're saying, everyone that should have got drafted. That's just because they were always going to get drafted, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't make it a habit to watch very many of the free agents, anyways.
Yeah.
So I probably will not be getting through too many of these guys. But if there is, maybe one or two of these guys that you guys really want us to watch, just let us know. And maybe we could fit in a couple breakdowns. But obviously, we're going to be focusing on the draft picks.
If you want me to try to find Tennessee Chattanooga film, that's gonna be rough. I'm gonna try. I could Tennessee Chat.
I'll tell you right now, it's not going to happen.
I might have to email one of their interns.
Yeah,
hey man,
the athletic department. Hey, Tip don't lie here.
I just want to get some film of some Clinton Curtis, man. They might give it to me, man. I might have to do that. Maybe, what I'm saying? Be exclusive. That Tennessee Chattanooga film. That intern, Doc. Hey man, just give me a couple games.
Right. Just a couple. Just a couple.
What's the worst? He might say no. The worst thing?
That's good.
All right. Anything else, man? Any questions you got here? Anything, Chris, in the comments? Nothing.
No, if you're coming away and you're like, this is a great, amazing draft, pump the brakes. If you're coming away and you're like, this is a terrible draft, Raiders don't know how to draft, pump the brakes. It's in the middle. Just like every single team that drafted, you guys can relax. Okay.
It was solid. It was solid. I like some of the picks. I didn't like some of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. All right. That's it for me.
That's it for me, guys. I'm out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed all the draft content that we gave you. Of course, there's gonna be all types of draft content coming. Definitely break down all these guys. Definitely we'll leave the membership link in the what is it? A profile, whatever thing.
Description.
The description. That's what I'm thinking of. We'll do that. So you guys, all the people who want to join and support us, we appreciate all you guys who want to support us and been supporting us over the weekend. So definitely appreciate you guys supporting us all through the draft process, all the breakdowns that we've been doing. All the Tyree Wilson, all the stuff that we've been, Devin Witherspoon, all the guys we ended up didn't drafting, but we did all the breakdowns. So hope you guys appreciate all that. Of course, this summer we'll figure out some ideas. We gotta. Maybe we'll go over the 20 Zamir White carries. So. Join the membership, you'll get every Zamir White carries.
Every Zamir White carry. At that point, I would send someone to your house to come check on you, Marcus.
You know what I'm saying? We got to see, is there upside there, man? So is there something in those 20 carries that we could?
Yeah. You're gonna go over Britton Brown's preseason carries. Psycho.
So we'll check that out. Talk about a little bit more, and then probably later on talk about how they didn't take any offensive linemen because we wanted to go over the draft pick. So we'll talk about that later.
We didn't even bring that up.
Because then we'll go to hour 30 if you do that. So, all right, guys, peace. See you guys later.
There you go.